SpeakuP Monday. We're here, Tropical Nomad, in a slightly different location to our usual one that you might recognize if you're a regular here. So this is episode 455, and it's all, as you know, the first Monday of every month is always about health. And we have this wonderful collaboration with HealthHub Bali. And if you don't know already, HealthHub Bali, this episode tonight highlights Bali as an epicenter for cutting-edge, integrative, whole health care. Whether you're curious about Bali's current offerings or seeking options to optimize your health journey, this episode will provide some valuable insights. So we've got a few takeaways tonight. One is that obviously we're in a new year, so new perspectives, 2025. Number two is discover what's behind health issue labels. And then number three is the vitality journey through life medicine. And the fourth, we have life without limitations, plus Bali Hosting 2025 Wake Up and Live series. Now, in a minute, I'm going to introduce our guest or allow him to introduce himself. But before we do that, remember that HealthHub Bali is connecting you to better health and is a health tourism initiative which has been making strides in Bali for nearly a decade, supporting patients, practitioners, and programs to redefine health in 2025 and 2024 and 9 years back from that as well. So look, Jason Gilbert, I'll give you a little rousing intro as well. BSc, MC chiropractor, an industry leader in human performance optimization with over 30 years of experience working with pro athletes, indigenous communities, corporate executives worldwide. And Jason combines cutting-edge science with ancient wisdom to empower healthier, more fulfilling lives. And of course, we'll allow Tracey to introduce herself in a minute. But look, I think the first thing first is to give Jason a really welcome round of applause from Australia to Bali for tonight's episode. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
So look, I mean, we're going to get into tonight's show first, but it's always nice hearing it from our guests, you know. So I guess what has been your journey into health? Like, where did it begin? Was there a question? Was it an emergency? Was there something happening in your life that kind of pulled you along this trajectory that you're on now? Would love to hear that answer to that question.
Great question. So it's a long story, but condensed version would be introduced to health at a young age because our family owned a health food store. Okay. So I was always around healthy examples, not everybody, you know, but many healthy examples of people who would come into the shop. And I would always be interested to know what they were doing to be rocking it still at 80 or 90 years of age. What they did to get on top of their brain cancer. This is 30, 40 years ago. So before biohacking and techniques like that. So there was a real fountain of information there. I'd talk about my own journey with spinal pain, back pain from a young age. It didn't incapacitate me, but I always associated that with the practice of sport. And then to discover chiropractic, because chiropractic's it's a common way to get into health. Yeah. You'll meet a lot of chiropractors who they've studied chiropractic and love it, but then they've been opened up to other forms of functional health. So that's basically, I found chiropractic, it helped me, I dedicated to that. And then I went to South America for sabbatical and traveled around South America and ended up starting a clinic in Peru. Okay, so that's where we had quite a range of demographics there, didn't we? We had professional athletes, we had indigenous communities in the Andes, and then corporate people in Sao Paulo, with a common denominator that they all can function better. And so bit by bit, with this amazing way of learning and also an experience with mercury toxicity, severe on the way that I had to learn how to get out of my body, I guess that's what's formed me till now. And then to complement that, a client of mine in Brazil was a pioneer of functional medicine, and he was a really well-known doctor, and he invited me to study with the doctors in Brazil. So,
you know, isn't it amazing that, you know, many times in life we feel that there's something that is pulling us in a direction, right? And it's not really within our conscious awareness at the time. But then we look back and we kind of say, well, that's the reason why that happened. And it makes perfect sense now.
100%.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And then look, before we get to Tracey in a second, so maybe the question that's popping up for me is that, you know, and there'll be a bunch of answers, right? But choose the one that's most alive for you. So, which thing did you learn along this health trajectory, this health journey, that really surprised you in a way that it was opposite to kind of what you thought before? So in other words, it might be the public interpret it as one way, but how it actually is the complete opposite.
Totally
What was that for you?
Love that question. And that's most definitely the fact that we can't assume we're healthy because we feel good or look good.
Okay.
Think about how many people woke up this morning feeling great, and unfortunately the deceased this afternoon of a heart attack. 50% of people pass away, and the first sign their body ever gives them that they have a cardiovascular problem. So what I've learned is that we need to, if we're lucky enough to be symptomatic, because symptoms are unpleasant, we use those symptoms to find the underlying cause. And that's what I'd say is against common thinking in our society still.
Love it.
And that's, yeah.
Thank you. So if you pass that microphone to Tracey, you two will be sharing tonight. So Tracey, again, this is episode number 30-something in our series of the Health Hub Bali, Future of Health series. And for those of you at home, if you want to catch up on some of those episodes, go to YouTube, so SpeakuP Monday, and there's a special playlist curated by Health Hub Bali, and you can see all of the last 30-something episodes. Again, such a beautiful, dazzling array of Indonesians, foreigners, expats coming together around this incredible topic. So maybe, I know people know you, but some don't. So maybe take a little bit of time to introduce yourself and maybe what we're going to be talking about tonight, and anything else going on, like this wonderful thing behind us. I think you can explain that as well on your way.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. Yeah, my name is Tracey Groeneveld. I'm here in Bali the last decade. I'm founder of Health Hub Bali. I've got a functional medicine background myself. But what the platform Health Hub is mainly to showcase what Bali has to offer in real health and connect people to better health. So we've got the practitioners. It's a melting pot here in Bali for health seekers and vitality seekers. But what we do with Health Hub, we start with the medical, then the health, and then segue into the wellness programs in tourism. So for us now, we are the last 3 years we've been highlighting what the future of health is, and really highlighting the health journey, from baselines and testing through to people getting their information that they can be responsible for their own health and make their own choices, to what treatments are available, whether they're a health seeker or they've got some kind of diagnosis or they want to optimize their health. This year, 2025, is different, and we'll go into that and what we will be presenting as a collective here in Bali and introducing Health Hub Global to Indonesia.
Beautiful. And before you hand the mic over, we have this wonderful display behind us, which is promoting an event in February 2026. Can you tell us a little bit about what that event is and why it's important?
Right, for this year, we have a number of events. The doctors this is a global event actually, and there are doctors through the world who are joining us here, and it's called Biohacking Bali and Beyond. It's a medically informed biohacking event, meaning that the average, what we'll learn tonight, especially with Jason here, what biohacking is and why a medically informed one is different. So I'll leave that till later. But this event actually will be a introduction to biohacking, and it will be the Bali one. We now have also one in June where the overseas doctors will come in.
Beautiful. Health without limits, without limitation. What a great topic. And just for those who find minds, Robert Ian Bonnick, host, founder, SpeakuP Monday, RIB and Associates, a gateway to Indonesia for foreign and local companies that want to either enter Indonesia or expand within. Now, the show has been recognized and endorsed by the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of the Republic of Indonesia, by Forbes Business Council, by Bali Tourism Authorities, and a lot more. But let's get on with tonight's show. So maybe the first question is around, new year, new perspectives, 2025. So maybe Tracey, start us off. So this first takeaway, what are the kind of key elements that you want to expose for the first one?
Well, that people know where and who to go to. And I'm thinking, to set the pace, why we've got Jason here from Australia, and he's in South America a lot of the time as well, as an expert. He also has a background in what we call whole health, the whole health model and the health journeys, so that we can implement them here through these events that we'll be having here in Bali.
Hey, thanks, Trace.
That was a nice handoff. I'm not sure if you saw how smooth that was. I mean, that was like a 4x100. Smooth, eloquent, beautiful. Just saying.
Well, it's a great time, isn't it, at the start of the year always, to set your intention health-wise for the year that's coming. And I think it'd be a good time if people understood, firstly, what the true definition of health is. Okay, so this for me is very important, because let's imagine we wanted wealth, but we had the wrong model. Well, we're not going to get down the track with more money. We're going to get down the track with less money. We're not going to know how to invest it. Health is very similar. If we don't have the right roadmap, we'll only know 10, 20, 30 years down the track that we followed the wrong roadmap. So that starts with us understanding, as I mentioned already, that health is not based on how you look or how you feel. It's based on how you function. Okay, when you think about it.
So just to reinforce that, so not based upon... That's Bali Canggu, by the way. It's a Canggu modified exhaust. So it's not based upon how you look or how you feel, but how you function. So maybe go into the function part. Yeah.
So when I say look, also think of how many times people have seen people that looked healthy that were sick or died suddenly, or I've accompanied people to the chemo ward and looked at people and thought, oh my God, they're doing chemotherapy. They don't look like they have cancer. Yeah. So you can look healthy, but not be healthy. So what function means is that if we adopt that as our true definition of health, and we see that function means 100% function, not 90%, okay, that's 100% function, correct function of every cell, then we've got a roadmap to achieve that. And how is that? Because we can recognise, if we recognise that 100% function can only occur when we're getting a sufficiency of all the nutrients that we're genetically programmed to receive, and a minimum or zero of toxins that we're not congruent to function with. Okay? Some people want to know, but how can I measure that? We don't have to worry about measuring that. Okay? What about the toxins? We live in a toxic world. There's all of these questions. That is true. We have to be aware. So 2025, for me, a great intention would be empowerment around knowledge to understand what a nutrient is, what a toxin is, so that we can make the best decisions. Because if we don't know, we're making unconscious decisions. But at least if we know, for example, that alcohol can destroy our biome, then if we have a drink of alcohol, it's a conscious decision. And that's what we want. We want people to make conscious decisions. We want people to go, oh no, hang on, that's a nutrient, that's a toxin. Sunlight's a nutrient. Did I get sun today? No, I didn't. What can I do to compensate for that? I'll take a liposomal vitamin D. Do you know what I mean? Like it's understanding, and it's not complex. It's simply understanding what toxins are and what nutrients are.
You know, it begs the question, how do you know? Like, so, you know, I mean, one thing I think we've learned through the series is that health is individual, right? So this person here may test for X, Y, and Z. This person here might test for A, B, and C. They live in the same place. They do the same things. They hang around together, but they test differently. So when you look at these milestones or markers,
sure,
you know, how do you, if someone was coming to you, how do you identify what they are? So maybe they know, hey, I'm a black fella, in case you didn't notice, right? So maybe I should get more vitamin D,
sure,
but how much vitamin D should I get?
Well, that's the tricky thing, isn't it? Like, what's that number? We want to quantify things understandably, but there's plenty of stories of twins, for example, where one has excellent health and the other one doesn't, but they've been in the same environment. Yeah. Okay, but what we've got to look at is that, look, I know this is generalising, but with the exception of a very small percentage of diseases, which would be around 3 to 5%, are genetic. Okay, most diseases are coming from lifestyle factors. Okay, so we go deep. We look at what toxins someone's been exposed to, because even though they're in the same environment, what about if their biome's different? What about if one of them had antibiotics when they were really young, or a series of them, and a concerted effort was never made to balance their biome? Well, of course, the way that their genes will express themselves will be different. So,
question for the audience, because hello. Raise of hands if you've had your biome checked ever. Raise your hand if you had your biome checked. Okay. Raise your hand if you've got no idea what biome is. There you go.
All right, great.
So it's all right, mate. We can't identify you, okay? His name, we're going to give you your name and address afterwards. He didn't know what it was. So maybe explain what biome is, yeah.
Okay, when we refer to biome, we're talking about our intestinal flora. So I compare us or our gut to soil. Okay, what constitutes good soil? Soil that allows plants to grow and thrive. Okay, the soil's hosting those plants, but in reality, it's hosting bacteria that we can affect through pesticides, which would be similar to antibiotics or alcohol or sugar or vegetable oils, or we can nourish via compost, for example, and other things, water, the right amount of sunlight. So we're similar. We're an ecosystem as well, and the flora, okay, our gut bacteria is our biome, influences our health so much more than what people realise, you know. And it's worth you guys after tonight, because we won't have time to go too deep on this, but look into it, go deeper, test it, learn as much as you can about it, learn what foods are detrimental to its function, what are beneficial. Because when you do that, you realise that we're actually eating for our biome, not for our taste buds. That's a big mistake. We eat influenced by taste, don't we? I want that. That tastes good. But what about what these guys want? And there's a whole series of things we do to care for our biome.
I mean, look, so just bringing Tracey into this. So we're talking about New Year perspectives 2025. Is there anything you'd like to add to what Jason has just said?
Yeah, we were talking earlier about asking the questions, so learning and then knowing what options you have. Not taking it that you have a diagnosis or some label and then you have to go on a certain path. You want to know why. So this biome business, this is also a new perspective, becoming big knowledge about the biome and its impact on the body. Some research points to the fact that it sends more messages to the brain than the other way around. So the research with autism and all sorts of ways our neurotransmitters work is coming back to the biome more than ever before. So we can be responsible for our health. Yeah.
And can you just quickly spell biome in case people are wondering? Because, you know, people are funny, right? They don't say things that they think they sound silly, or, you know, so they don't. So I know that some people out there will be saying, how do you even spell it? So
yeah, biome. And just complementing what Trace just said, neurotransmitters, so important to understand the connection there, but also hormones, enzymes. So many of our bodily processes depend on our gut. And we're hearing about gut health, but gut health isn't always well defined, is it? What's gut health? You know, so protocols within functional health, we use protocols that look at the gut wall, the biome, recolonising the biome with good bacteria, if necessary. With most of us, it is necessary in the modern world. Getting rid of the bad guys naturally, not with antibiotics, and throwing a really good detox for the liver. I mean, you know, when I said before, when we're talking like this, it sounds like it's really complex, and there is a complexity to it, but it's a lot easier than what you imagine.
Got it. Thank you. Biome. So next question. Discover what's beyond health. Was this issues and labels? So let's dive into that one. Let's see, she doesn't want to take it. There's a delicate little nudge saying, don't give me the microphone, in case you didn't see it.
Just to qualify that again, it's what's beyond health, right?
Yeah.
No, the health issues and labels.
Like, for example, diagnosis, stuff like that. Yeah. So, okay, this is important. Label. I am a professional in the health area, okay? I'm a health professional. But what are the other health professionals? Doctors, nurses, paramedics, chiropractors, physios, naturopaths. There's a lot of health professionals, and they can be complementary or mainstream, allopathic. What we've got to understand, guys, is that whether it's a mainstream medical doctor or a naturopath or a chiropractor or someone else, acupuncturist, the list goes on. We need to be dealing with true health professionals. What's that mean? People who are not receiving a client or a patient, making a diagnosis, which leads to what? A diagnosis leads to a course of treatment. So if we have to be treated, we're focusing on a sickness. No one will ever get healthier suppressing a symptom or focusing on a sickness. So I'd love to change this label, by the way. I'd love to say, all right, there's the disease professionals, there's the health professionals. And as Trace was saying before, part of the Health Hub Bali paradigm is exactly that. It's to direct people to the professionals within allopathy that can make an accurate diagnosis. And I compare this often to a fire. Who do we call when we have a fire? We call the fire brigade. So great. We want the best fire brigade there to diagnose the situation and know how to put it out. Then, too many of us under this banner, health profession, rely on the fire brigade to give us advice about how to rebuild the house. Carpenters, electricians, all the rest. They're the people we need to source. But if we go to a health professional who really only focuses in disease, then we're not going to be directed towards the people who are going to help rebuild the house. And then we've got our other people within the Bali Health Hub paradigm as well, or Health Hub Bali, where we can do them in conjunct. Yeah, okay, at the moment, due to the fact that you've lost your health to a certain degree, you are symptomatic and there is a disease process going on, fire brigade. But guess what? We can start rebuilding while we're putting out the fire, because it's only that part of the house and this one's fine, ready to go. And then there's other people that can go straight to rebuilding with true health professionals. So this misunderstanding, and I'll defend doctors also and say it's not any doctor's fault. It's just that's the profession. A doctor's responsibility is to diagnose and use that diagnosis to responsibly treat. But it's unfortunately not taking in health at all. So as health professionals of multiple decades, you actually tire sometimes of seeing people that have exhausted all their energy and funds and everything to treat a problem that keeps reoccurring because the true cause was never focused on.
Well, I like that. The true cause was never focused on, you know. So one quick thing that I want to quickly bring up is that, so for those of you maybe tuning in now, this is episode 455, and it's all about health without limitation. And we have this handsome fellow from Australia, a health professional.
Yeah, mate.
Right, yeah, mate, to show us a way. And Health Hub Bali, which obviously is, you know, a leading health tourism initiative here in Bali, connecting us to better health. But Tracey, just for you with this microphone, and we have this incredibly important biohacking event coming up in February in Sanur. Now, Tracey, can you tell us a little bit about Health Hub Global and why it's important? What is it doing? And just a little bit about 2025 and what we can expect that Health Hub Bali, Health Hub Global is doing, and then we'll get back to the interview after that.
Right, so what we're doing now is we're bringing in the experts, and Bali is hosting these global events as part of its medical tourism initiative. And what it will do is for practitioner-only events, some of them are, that we can upgrade so they can know what other treatments they can add on to people's health journeys. Because what's happening is that many doctors through the world, especially since COVID, they've seen what's happening to people. They know that there's more than what they've probably been taught within their medical degree. So now we can add some of these modalities onto that. And that's where biohacking, it's biology and hacking. You can explain that bit.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say about the labels is that sometimes people think, oh, I've got bipolar, or I've got this, or I've got that. No, you're not that. It's not identifying with the disease. That's a sick model of care. We are whole. There's the functional side is we get everything working. We bring the life back into the body. We find out what's wrong. If you've got an engine, you sort the filter. This is a car engine. Well, it's the same with us. We want to find what it is. With Jason's work in Australia, they use a lot with microscopes microscopes as well. So as a patient, you can look and see what's happening inside your blood, and you can see the effect of different treatments, good or bad, and you can start measuring things. And this is where you can take back your own health.
Love it. So 2 things that came out of that. One is biohacking, and the second one is functional medicine. Now, functional medicine we've spoken about quite a bit, but again, we don't want to leave people behind, right? So I'm not going to go to the audience this time because everyone's hand's going to go and everyone's going to lie. I can tell they're going to lie. So maybe Jason, explain, number one, what functional medicine is, why it's important, and what is that? What actually is biohacking? Because we hear this term a lot. Everyone seems, not everyone, but people are using it a lot. But I think most people probably wouldn't be able to define what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and the easiest way to say this, I'll use an example. Okay, imagine your lives, actually. Think about all the things that you love doing. Okay, imagine all your priorities, family, work maybe, the sport you practice, the exercise you love doing to stay healthy, your faith. Imagine how each of those things would be without being healthy. We know, when we put it into perspective, we know that health's important. We're not sick, okay? We can still practice them maybe, but we're limited. Okay, so functional medicine, different to allopathic medicine that would basically encourage someone to think about their health when they already lose it. And as I've already mentioned, that's a gamble, isn't it? Because it could be, one sign, and then unfortunately you don't have a second chance. It's actually looking at your true health and getting it to function at its optimum. Thinking about all those things that you love to do and wanting to continue them in 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the future. Okay, I'll quickly insert this phrase to complete that little part, but I love it. A person who's sick has one dream. Someone who's healthy has 1,000, because they're not limited. But when you're sick, unfortunately, if you haven't had the information along the way to stay healthy, it's no one's fault. We're not taught. Okay, we're more focused on money, and we learn more about that actually these days, but then it's a gamble. Okay, so function is really important because it's like putting money in the bank now. It's like learning what you have to do to guarantee your future. Biohacking, if we add the definition on, I would say it's a way that we have techniques that we can incorporate into our day-to-day lives to optimize our biology. Okay, optimize the situation. For example, we're in times where a sedentary lifestyle is unfortunately unconsciously promoted due to the fact that there's more convenient ways of doing things and work and walking less and all the rest. Let's hack that. Let's, if you're on a bus, get off a couple of stops earlier, or plan a walk up the stairs, don't go the elevator. That's a real obvious example, but a less obvious one would be, hey, I went out and I ate something I shouldn't have eaten. Let's say it had vegetable oils. Okay, I'll have a really good quality, let's say charcoal, okay, a binder to be able to mop up what we shouldn't have had, and then maybe a vitamin E, a good quality vitamin E to compensate for the damage that those oils do to us. Or Wi-Fi. There's no mystery now that we're surrounded by Wi-Fi permanently, basically, and it's detrimental to our health. Hey, let's not get paranoid. We live in a modern world. How can we hack that? I take iodine every day to protect my thyroid and protect me from Wi-Fi. Earplugs from the noise that you can't sleep well.
What? Like it felt like it was going away, but then the sound became. How does it work? Anyway, back to interview. Focused here.
But that'd be another example. Earplugs to sleep well if it's noisy. So it's understanding the requirements of your body and providing what it needs and upping it if you know you're challenged in doing that in normal life.
One of the things which I'm receiving for I think the first time, and I've been around this topic for a little while, so might be a little bit embarrassed, but not really. I can't turn red, it's okay. I go shiny though, apparently. Go figure. Biohacking, most of the time when I think of biohacking, I think of gadgets. Right, but the examples that you've given were not gadget related, right? So I think, is that something that people just misunderstand? I think that I've got to have a gadget to be biohacking.
That's such a good question, because 2025 could be also about, and what I'd like to promote, understanding that it doesn't have to be complex. It's all about the simple things. It's actually going back to that. Look at all the biohacking modalities. Look at, let's say, for example, a PEMF mat. Okay, it's a pulsed electromagnetic field mat. It's fantastic. Guess where you get it from? From the earth. 7.8 hertz. It's just with the mat or a device, it's a lot more intense. Why not include grounding and walk on the beach in bare feet every day? Do you know what I mean? Simple. As I mentioned before, sun, we know it is crucial. If there's sun out, get your skin exposed to the sun. Okay, you mentioned your case, for example, take a vitamin D. It's understanding that things can be simpler. What's another one, for example, that I was going to mention is hyperbaric chamber. There's another modality of biohacking, oxygenation. What can I do to up my oxygenation? If you're not exercising, start there. Just get the oxygen circulating around your body. Do some breath work. Do you know what I mean? There, guys, like for every single biohacking modality, even though they're great, and I have a lot at home and I use my clients, I can give you a simple alternative.
Beautiful, guys. So, Tracey, you want to expand upon that? Just again.
So just hooking into that. So we have this, whether it be the ground, the heat, the sun, whatever. We're looking at elements. So with Health Hub, we start with the science, which is the knowledge. Allopathic, we use technology to find, and we also to reset and restore, because sometimes it's a lot bigger than just grounding. If there's a disease, we use these same elements, but in the form of PMF or hyperbaric chambers and that, to bring the life back into the body. And this is what, for decades, say, German clinics would have done. Australians would go there, they would have a cancer diagnosis and they'd want to reset their body or use it as a last resort. We'd use all these tools, which are now being used by biohackers in the world, all right, to bring their life back into the body. So that's the science. As far as functional medicine is concerned, if we ask any doctors after a period of time spent with me, they'll say, that's what we learnt in first year at med school. But what happened after the first year in med school, when they learnt about the functions in the body, the liver, the kidney and respiratory, etc., the heart systems, they have pharmaceuticals. That's all they have. With whole health, we've got all these other modalities to bring the body back, and that's when we go back to nature after we've reset life habits.
So you want to continue?
Just going to compliment what Trey said. Thank you. Also, what I should have qualified there, guys, is it's case by case. But if we're all imagining we're all asymptomatic and we have no problems going on, perfect. But as Tracey said, thank God that we've got these biohacking modalities to get it in there at a higher dose due to the necessities of restoring health faster. And this is where that whole analogy with the fire brigade one side and the people rebuilding the other, they work well together. Many people these days, you'll see if they've opted for chemo and they've got cancer, they're also doing hyperbaric chamber, they're doing CBD, they're taking methylene blue and all of these other things. They can do them in conjunct.
So now we've got about two questions to go. We have a third mic, which is just over here. So maybe now is the time, maybe you have a question. So in the next probably 5-10 minutes, you'll have a chance to ask your question. Just keep in mind that we have a few cameras here. So we go live on Instagram Live, YouTube Live, and Facebook Live simultaneously. Now, this camera here will swivel and will kind of zoom in on you if you ask a question, all right? So just be aware of that. And then secondly, no, I think that's enough, actually. If you have a question, please feel free to ask. But look, the third part of this is the vitality journey through life medicine. So the vitality journey through life medicine. What does that mean? Why is it important?
We've touched on that. Actually, we've gone deep on it as well in regards to separating a case that needs to be treated because health has been lost to a certain degree, and then other cases where we just all want to function our best. We want to perform our best. I love surfing. I don't ever want to be limited. I want to invest in that now. You know, like, it could be family, kids, whatever. That's vitality. Vitality is living without limitations. Okay. It's not a difficult concept, that one. But once again, if we're following that paradigm where we only think about health when we lose it, then we've lost our vitality. And then once again, I'm sure most of us here have either we've had an injury or we've been sick to the point where we can't practice all the things we love doing at that time. And that could be a week for some people to get better, or it could be months and months or years or ever. So we don't need to wait.
Nice. Tracey, care to expand upon that one?
Yeah, so with the vitality, whatever situation we're in, now we're about bringing the life back into the body. And when you asked me earlier about the events, what we're about is giving tools to the doctors to integrate that journey. All right, so that, say someone, they may need medicines, they may need chemotherapy and these things, but there are ways to bring the life back in, the vitality back into the cells, and that's what we're about. It's a science and there's an art to healing. So that's what here in Bali we're piloting this model with the hospitals as well, because that's what's part of the medical tourism model here in Indonesia.
You know, this medical tourism model, as you mentioned, and Dr. Patra Jaya, the chairman or the leader of Bali Medical Tourism Association, has been on the show a few times. What wonderful man. Now, but while we're on that topic, so there's a few important things which are happening here in Bali. So would you care to maybe elaborate on what they are and where Health Hub is involved? What is Health Hub facilitating, supporting and empowering when it comes to health and medical here in Bali?
Yeah, so we're really about... first of all, it's about knowledge, science and information, and upgrading what's available here and bringing it on the one table so it can be integrated. If you'd say talk to Dr. Patra, he would talk about for patient-centred care, which is for doctors. Sometimes they're really concerned and responsible about people's health in the model that they've learnt, but he talks about options and choices. That's what Bali's about. Honouring that, giving dignity to the person and giving them those options. Not out of fear. This is not medicine with fear. This is life medicine. And then the journey goes into what we call usada, which is the wellness side, where people can start learning new habits. And we can replace, like the cells change every so many days, whether it be 120 days, certain things, or 90 days. So just by going on a concerted effort and having the support within the retreat model or the hotel model or the hospital model, so you can feel safe, and then having experts that can put programs together, change your habits of eating, sleeping, thinking, that's the biohacking side, yeah.
So then, you know, what it sounds like then is that kind of what Health Hub is doing is, you know, if that is, you know, health and medical in Bali, Indonesia and the world, but let's talk about Bali right now, so you're plugging in on each level, whether it be direct to patients, whether it be practitioners and hospitals and government departments as well.
Medically informed concierge,
medically informed concierge.
And if we have they're experts in detox, that's great, but that's not anything. The mental and emotional side is huge. Where do we start touching on that? It's not talk therapy. So we combine the somatics, you know, getting the body in alignment, the gut health right, and gradually everything will just go. We've got a natural healing capacity in our own body. So if we can support removing that the body can do what it can do or has to do, that's what Bali's about.
And this Wake Up and Live series, so while the mic is almost still with you, we were so close,
okay.
So close. If you can explain a little bit what this Wake Up and Live series is about.
All right then. So that's basically giving people the confidence that they're actually okay, the body will heal, and they can have this different perspective we mentioned before. We're putting everything on the table there, and they can have access to places and we can work out programs and what information they need to know.
Beautiful. So just before we go to questions, 'cause I know you're ready. People here are like... So we've got that's not a microphone. We've got the third mic, right? It's switched on. So if you have a question, just raise your hand. Yeah, so we've got one over here, one over here. We've got Jonathan and there's another handsome fella. Nice haircut, brother. we'll get you afterwards. So, okay, before we get to you, Jonathan, so is there anything, we've got a while to go, Jason, but is there anything, after you hearing, what Tracey said, this model of Health Hub Bali, which is, again, practitioner, it's hospital, it's patient, right? It's these three things. There's that. You're from Australia, from Byron Bay. Health Hub Bali is also there, Health Hub Global, right? So it's all connecting the world together. So, but is there anything that comes into your mind now that perhaps, you feel like I didn't quite finish that point, or this point I think would be really important to say now?
Yeah, just to compliment what Trey said, that everyone's at a different stage, and we're on a different journey, isn't it? So we need to have that education, which is one of the purposes of Health Hub Bali is also to educate not only lay people like us, but also professional people as well, because then they're reaching out to others as well. So that's really important. We're all at a different journey. It could be, once again, like a wealth accumulating journey. We're all a different understanding of that. So it's really important. And it's universal. I've worked in Brazil and Peru, of indigenous communities in Peru, and as I said, corporates. I've worked with the World Surfing League for 20 years, actors, quite a few actors in Hollywood actually as well. So there's whether it's an actor or someone who has the resources to spend lots of money on biohacking, or someone who doesn't, it depends on the phase they're at. Because all the biohacking in the world won't help if you need to go back, as Trey said, and take the right sort of medication and start from scratch, get the fire put out. And so I think that's the good thing is Bali is a brilliant place to do it. Byron Bay's pretty good too. But I love the idea that here in Bali, everything's conducive to having the purpose of the Bali Health Hub.
So Tracey's reaching out. The hand is going.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot, because you asked, wake up and live. All right. So once we've reset and restored and we're not worried about our health or what's happening, we can start creating our own life. And that's the other models. That's what Bali also can offer. Give us time and space that we can start looking at choices we've made in the past, or our parents, grandparents, generational, and create a new life and be a different person. So that's the wake up and live. I say there's 9 levels. The entry point is functional medicine.
Thanks, Trace. Jonathan, so you had a question made, and then we got a few questions behind you.
I find this a little bit ironic.
Just give us 1 second. I'm going to mic you up. Yep, good. Yeah, it's okay. No. We couldn't hear you because you need to switch on the volume. It's okay. You're fine now. Just speak, Jonathan. Don't touch it. Just speak.
Yeah, I find this a little bit ironic, this talk about health here, because I'm beginning to think of this as probably one of the most unhealthy places on earth, right here, because of the pollution from the traffic. I mean, it has to be on a level with India, someplace like that. So, what can you do if you live in this place or live in Bali? I mean, have there been studies about the air quality?
Yeah, really great question.
Great question. If I get to pass the microphone just behind you, Jonathan, to the next question. So what Jonathan was saying is that, so in many ways he believes in one of the most unhealthiest places in the world. We have pollution being the key one. He mentioned it being on par with India, and asking if there's been any studies done to kind of pinpoint how bad it is, right? So I think the question is that one, but also kind of what was, maybe you can be reinforced about biohacking and how you can actually hack that to,
Yes, that's such a relevant question for so many places in the world right now, where we're living in environments that aren't conducive to our health, or at least they contain many of the elements, but there's unfortunately a couple, like we see here with the air pollution. First is choice. Some people actually have to leave certain environments to be able to allow their health to recover away from that. And as I said before about the toxins, okay, we're putting that in the toxin list, aren't we? So having strategies to be able to deal with that. Now, I've had the worst case of mercury toxicity that any doctor I dealt with back in the day experienced. I had my fillings taken out incorrectly. So whether it be that sort of intoxication from a mercury filling, or the air, or the water supply, if we choose to be in that environment, we have to do our best, okay, to avoid those toxins. And then if we know we've taken them in, do our best on a regular basis to remove them. Now, we follow a concept of brushing our teeth every day. Most of us do it at least twice, sometimes 3 times a day. Now, I was put in a situation where I had to do and get used to a daily detox. And that for me includes infrared saunas, sweating, binders, coffee enemas, for example. And this is one thing I truly feel that a lot of people, when they're getting their head around health, are focusing on nutrients. What can I add? But we're not looking at, in general, also removing, because that's a really big part of the equation. If we're not removing and we're only adding, well, of course, we're not going to get to 100% function. I don't know, does that help?
Well, I think partly, but the other part of it was, had there any reports or studies that you know of about the pollution here?
Okay, so here in Bali, no, but I lived in São Paulo, Brazil, with 20 million people for 20 years. Plenty of studies over there. Okay, respiratory illnesses, asthma, worsening, obviously, when we go through periods without rain. Studies about incidents, yes. Were there many efforts to improve it? A few. Like in São Paulo, what they do is they only allow, or they remove the, let's say, a number plate ending in 1 or 2. They can't go on the road on Monday. And then Tuesday, it's the ones ending in 3 and 4. So they're doing their best. But when you choose to live in busy, congested areas, it's very difficult.
No, yeah. So what he said is he hasn't got the studies for Bali. But look.
There's apps. Apparently, Tracey, there's apps, yeah.
But look, Jonathan's question prompts something else, actually, which is, just on a practical level, right? Let's say that I've just arrived in Bali, woohoo, right? I've come to Canggu and I realised, there's quite a bit of traffic here, right? It's not what I remember, whatever it might be. So if I want to get tested, I'm not feeling well, where do I go? Do I go to any hospital? Do I call Health Hub Bali? If so, what number do I call? Do I call Ghostbusters? What do I do? Right? Yeah. So generic question, but I'm just interested to know that a person just come who doesn't know anything, doesn't know Health Hub Bali, what should they do?
Well, this is where we talk about functional medicine or functional health. To go to somebody who works with function, because if we went allopathically, unfortunately, that's not falling within the paradigm. But if we went to someone who works with functional health, they can direct us towards someone who does a hair, skin or urine analysis to test the level of heavy metals. Okay, we're testing for things that we know we're going to have elevated levels of, aren't we? But we can do those tests that will allow us the tangible information that we need to confirm, hey, I've got this intoxication, to lead us to the next path of what do I do to remove it. It's a tricky one. It really is a tricky one.
And Tracey, so here in Bali, and it might be putting you on the spot, it might be something that is maybe a little bit of time away. Give her the mic, mate. Give her the mic. He's like, Tracey's holding the mic still. So where do people go? So if I've just arrived in Bali, I don't know anything, right? I don't feel well, and just go to any hospital, or is there some person that I should call? Is there some website I should go to? What should I do?
There are a few websites on that, but if you ring contact Health Hub Bali, on the phone.
Good catch, phone.
Okay, that's good.
The floor caught it. It's okay.
Yeah, you can find that. But everyone reacts differently. Some people got allergies and different toxins. So that's and functional medicine is not a quick fix thing. It's something that you've accumulated in your body, and it's about detoxing.
Cool.
Oh, thank you.
There you go, lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, it's about detoxing and the way you detox, your detox pathway. So there are some integrative clinics here that specialise in this. Yeah.
How do they find those clinics? How do they find them?
They can contact Health Hub Bali, to know which ones
right, beautiful.
know what they're doing. Yeah.
So if you just arrived or you've been here for a while and you're more interested now after hearing tonight's discussion, which is not over yet, or one of the past 30-something episodes, what Tracey's saying is just either Google, right, Health Hub Bali, and it's on all the platforms, website, Instagram, Facebook, and so on. Get in touch with Health Hub Bali, and they're able to refer you in your area of Bali to the appropriate practitioner. And ultimately, Health Hub Global will be, if you're in Australia and you're wondering where, you type the same thing in, and again, boom, you have suggestions of where to go and who to see. That's correct?
Correct.
Beautiful. All right, next question was over here, yes. All good.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you also for the insights and shedding light on the fact that there should be a separation between putting out fires and actually helping rebuilding it. I'm from Germany, and the hospitals are called like a place for sickness, which already just suggests and implies so many negative things. So I feel like language has plays a huge role as well. I just wanted to shed some light on, so first of all, I just love the initiative that you guys are focusing on holistic health, as it seems like. So since we're focusing on the entire human, right, which is encompassing the body and also the mind, I wanted to ask, Tracey, you're already touching upon this a bit, mentioning that we are whole beings and so ever. How important is a healthy mindset, and how important are our thoughts, also when it comes to the implication that we can heal inside out and don't necessarily need too many things from the outside?
Yeah, so to reset, we cannot ignore what's happening to our biology, and usually by the time that's shown up, the more we're learning about quantum, it's been there for a long time. It's inside the cells, etc. But our thoughts, feelings and emotions, that's what's running our electrics. So what happens is we have people that are many medicated. They come from a fear perspective. Whatever it is, their triggers, they've probably picked up from when they're little, and they're putting their whole body into a system that's shutting down so it can't function properly. But this is where knowledge comes. We put light on the subject, and as they are older now, often, like I said, the issues that they have then in their nervous system is from their fears they have as an adult. It's really not an issue. I'm just giving an example. Sometimes coming to that realization, the person can nearly straight away calm down. Then more often that they learn this habit, they can shift it to a different state, and they can feel it. These are the neurotransmitters. Otherwise, we have these what they call personality disorders, right? And they're borderline, because people keep getting triggered by the same thing when there's really no issue. It's from a long time ago. So the more that we can offset that, often in their home environment, they can't address that because they're whatever country, it's a vibrational thing as well. But coming to Bali, they can have a conversation they didn't have back home, and we can start delving into that so they can learn new patterns. So that's how we can always help that. Usually, as in the metaphysical side, you'll find that in Chinese medicine, which is a whole health model as well, that each organ is connected to a certain, a disease, and that's where the energy is held. And you can nearly say that. So the more conscious and connected we are with ourselves, we can start feeling that ourselves. We know that. So there are practitioners, medical practitioners, who understand that, and we can also measure this with MRIs. We've got faculties in Australia that are doing this neural emotional techniques, and they can give you evidence based on these subjects.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
I would have a follow-up question, but if you want to...
I was just going to add a little bit to that. That's interesting as well, that when I was in Brazil and Peru, I was working as a chiropractor. Yeah. But what I observed was they're big cities, 10 million people in Lima, 20 in Sao Paulo. And I noticed that people weren't getting better. And when I'd ask more questions, I'd find that, hey, it's a really stressful cities, lots of traffic. So everything that's worsening mental health, you can find there. Whether it be multiple distractions, whether it be trying to fit too many things into a day that you just can't do, like coming into Canggu today. Can you imagine that almost every day? And you've got 5 things to do. So talk about anxiety. So that's when it really opened my mind up to the fact that any health professional needs to focus on physical, chemical, and emotional factors involved with health problems. And if we do that, we break it into nutrients and toxins, it's going to help guide us towards what we need to look for ourselves. So let's imagine emotional is there for us. What would nutrients be? Good sleep. If you've had like emotional problems in the past, well resolved. Do you deal with stress well? If you're under stress, are you following things like taking adaptogens or doing breath work or whatever to be able to stay in control and not let the stress run you? Because this is we could do a whole other hour on the fact that when cortisol's elevated, our stress hormone, it's extremely detrimental to our health. It's pro-inflammatory, pro-cancer. It's everything you don't want. It's less energy, it's less libido, less concentration, less digestion, because all of those functions are down-regulated. Because that's what would have happened years ago, 10,000 years ago or more, if we were fighting for our lives with a dinosaur. Yeah, we don't need these functions. We don't need our immune system. We don't need to sleep. So this is where, if you understand the components of emotional health, you can ask yourself or ask your patient, if you're a practitioner or a doctor, where's it lacking? Do we need to find a psychologist or a therapist or someone to go deep on emotional stuff from the past? Do we need to look at breath work? Do we need to look at sleep? Or would this person be better off with a functional health practitioner or doctor to look at what herbs and what things we can do to have them functioning in a world that demands a lot of them?
I just still think of that word, adaptogens. Did you get that word?
Yes, I don't.
Adaptogens. I'm like, that's a cool word. Anyway, I did listen to it, rest, but that was still in my head. Yeah. Adaptogens. You had a follow-up.
Just like a thought or intuition. So, just since we're talking about different compartments also, and potentially sort of different stations of health practitioners then working together, it seems to be that the future, the way to actually create health is to have a more holistic and well collaborative system of people, right? And of place that patients can go to then be referred on to other stations depending on what it is they actually need.
Perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Next guest.
Get him up here.
Who got it? The next guest. So does anyone else have a question? Yeah, just behind you. So, by the way, with these microphones, yeah, right over here, not down here.
Okay, can you hear me okay now? Okay. So I have, two questions. So I work in the functional and integrative space. I'm a doctor of clinical nutrition in that space. So with Health Hub Bali and just the initiative in general, how much are you incorporating traditional Balinese practices? I ask because I just recently experienced traditional energy support, and I'm 100% functional, 100% integrative, but that was something that was very helpful, to me. So are we also incorporating some of the traditional Balinese practices as well?
If you're talking USADA, the hospital systems, they already have this within the hospital systems there. But if you're talking Balians, we're not doing Balians. But what you'll find with the energy work, it's usually trigger point, and it's opening up your own pathways in your own electrical system, and that's what the Balinese understand. Yeah. Yes, of course. And that's one of the fundamentals.
And then you mentioned the education, just educating the masses. What outlets can people go to learn more, about it? Are there already systems or outlets set up?
Over the years, we've had series of this. We've been piloting, but this year we're doing official events with the departments here as well.
Okay.
To get everything going. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One of the things, any other questions, by the way, feel free just to raise your hand. Everyone's, just to pass in front. So just before your question, so one thing that, not the elephant in the room or anything like that, but you know how it is, right? So you have people from around the world, right? They come, maybe they're living here in Bali, or maybe they've just come to visit. Something happens from the scale of not so serious to quite severe. Then over the years, there's been this perception that if there's something serious going on with me, I got to get out of Bali and go to Singapore or go to wherever else, but not here. So Tracey, this one is to you, because again, Health Hub Bali, and Health Hub Global is now been working with health departments, with government, with practitioners, patients for a number of years. So what do you see in the Bali scape and maybe Indonesia at large when it comes to answering that kind of question when people come?
Yeah. So it's more about, depending on what issue it is, often to go somewhere else, you may not make it on the aeroplane, number one. The second point is we're after second opinions. And with the Health Hub Collective globally, we can have scans and things tested here. Do you need intervention? This integrative model, like I'm saying, that's already been done throughout the world, we've got all that equipment here. But you would need somebody to guide and navigate that and connect you to that model. What is the root cause? What is the problem? Do you need that organ out? Should we wait for more? Do we need time and space? But in the process, then we use like the body work, the energy, meaning to get everything operating properly so the body can start functioning properly. That's what it gets back to. So within the hospital system, we have the integrative and we can use the other model. If it's an emergency, well, then you need second and third opinions.
And look, just again, people, this is called SpeakuP Monday Destination Indonesia. So there's people watching from overseas, and they're learning, listening to this for the first time. So for example, I know Jokowi some years ago did a big, had a realization that a lot of income was leaving Indonesia, going to get treatment in other places, and then set about setting into practice the infrastructure, the knowledge, to ensure that the health system here not only functions but can compete with the rest of the world, right? Okay, so when it comes to Bali, there's a special economic zone which is recently coming up. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and why that is important?
It's amazing. It's not fully functioning yet, but we will be holding an event in June. It will be the first medical conference held in that economic zone with a global team of experts. There is a hospital there that will be opening in an international hospital that was set on the model of the Mayo Clinic, and it will be opening in May as well. There's an amazing educational centre. There's everything there that you would need, and it's insular. So, and they're bringing like clinics from all over the world for regenerative medicine, all sorts of integrative medicine will be from that zone.
Beautiful. And if you're not in that zone or if you're not close to that area, Bali, getting around can be quite difficult. So what's happening on a secondary level, which I think Dr. Patra was talking about, but a secondary level in terms of the other hospitals, you have Siloam, you have,
So they're all looking at setting up centres of excellence. So we have a massive expat community here who has got like a lot of experience, and also all the equipments, all the legals are here in Indonesia. Integrative medicine, as far as even hypothermia in the hospitals, has just been approved. So this is a type of model that this is where it's headed, is real, what we call real health, to help reset and restore within the hospital system. With Dr. Patra, he's looking at the clinics and the wellness centres within the resorts so that we can start getting the models there that can help people start thriving, which has a lot to do with the life medicine after they've been tested to know what's happening.
Well, look, firstly, you can pass the microphone to this fella here. Well, the people here saw multitasking at work, right? The phone was slipping off. She was still talking. I wanted to, I had the hand almost ready to grab the phone for the second time that met the floor, but she managed to not only stop the phone from falling, but not lose her track in the conversation. That to me is one of the highlights. Thank you very much. We have maybe the last question. Over to you, my dear. So just give us a second while Guzman puts the mic up for you.
Okay, how about this now? Okay. All right. Yeah, my name is Evie. It's the first time I heard about this. Well, my question is, I was joining a little bit about if you heard about TRE before. It's like a trauma release exercise. Is that part of this kind of exercise too? And then how it worked? Because I didn't join that that time. I just want to know it more. Maybe it's.
Do you know TRE?
I heard about it a little bit. I joined the seminar, but when they start the exercise, I flew to Singapore.
Yeah, I think Indonesia already has a whole collective in Jakarta. Yeah?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So these are all part of the modalities. There's a whole banquet of modalities to reset and restore, especially with the somatic, what we call the world of somatics. And yes, that's part of the health journeys. Yeah.
I mean, how it works.
Well, that'll be another subject.
Okay.
So an upcoming edition, TRE, how it works, your A to Z
a lot of
guide.
the psychotherapists, they're using
It's coming.
Also, ex-military, they use this technique as well to shift the trauma out of the body. Yes, very nice. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks, Evie. And what you after? Nice to see you again. So any other questions before we go to the panel? Good. So look, what we're going to do now, as we begin to wrap up, is, we've covered the topics from what I can see, but each person will have another chance to speak. And we'll probably start with you, my brother. Well, probably me first, then you, then Tracey. And then, so in about 2 minutes, give you some time to think. Yeah. Not that you need it, because you're sharp as a tack. Right? So what it is that anything that on tonight's topic you feel that maybe you haven't said and you think, you know what, this is the time to say it, or it might be reiterating something that you've said before, or it might be something completely left of field, right? Maybe not too left. You'll have the opportunity to do that in a second, and then Tracey will finish us off, just kind of wrapping up, summing up, or adding her final points. So until we do that, I just want to say thank you again. Firstly, to everyone who came. So in Canggu tonight, this period of time has been crazy with traffic. So thank you for making it in person. Now, here's the good thing. So imagine that every week we hit maybe a potential reach of 100,000 plus people. Imagine a big filter. And this is all the people that see our flyers, posters, and so on. So at the bottom of that filter, right over here, you have that distilled number of people that are interested in attending or watching. So those who show up, this is the power here, is that the people here are interested in that topic. So Speak Up Monday, there's 10 market sectors that we deal with. 10. Health is one of them, one of the most important ones, may I add. So what I found over the years with this is that the people in the audience are often the ones that need to connect with each other. Yes, our guests, for sure. But also in the audience, I've had 5 people that I can name right now that I don't want to embarrass them, who used this show as a way to build their board of directors, as a way to find business partners, collaborators, and so on. They literally just come to the show because they're interested in that topic, and then get to chat to someone who's here, knowing that they're obviously aligned with that topic, and they end up doing business together or collaborating together. So that's the one extraordinary part about coming in person to an episode that pulls you or touches you in a certain way. Just come, right? That's the first thing. By the way, Trace, in your sum up, maybe let people know how they can join Health Hub. I think that's important. The second people I want to thank, Brother Guzman and Hadis, who's here somewhere, and the team from Tropical Nomad, technical partner. This is, I think, 271 episodes filmed here. 276, sorry, out of the 455 we've now done. So thank you very much indeed. And as I mentioned, next week we have it's the founder of Nomad Cruise. Now, Nomad Cruise became one of the most standout businesses for digital nomads in the world, actually. They have cruises all going all around the world. We're going to be talking to the founder, Johannes, his name is, and he's going to be talking about, as a digital nomad, how you can optimize your business while traveling around the world. So if you're interested in how do you do remote business then make sure you come next week or tune in if you're not here in Bali and just listening to Johannes, who is the CEO, founder of Nomad Cruise. Now, just want to thank you. You're not done yet, but just thanks, mate, for coming from Australia. Right?
Thank you very much for conducing. It was beautiful.
From Byron Bay.
Congratulations.
Mate, and I know that this was some years in the making from what Tracey told me before, that you guys have been talking for years, but it's the first time you've seen each other in person, which I think is fantastic, right? So that's a beautiful thing. Tracey, thank you very much. And remember as well in your sum up, where can people find Health Hub Bali if they want to interact, if they want to work with you and so on. So finally, for me, as I mentioned, gateway to Indonesia for foreign companies and also local companies that want to expand throughout Indonesia, 10 market sectors. So I think, mate, over to you, Jason. If there's anything that you'd like to add, whether you want to reiterate it or something new, please, over to you.
Yeah. I think the themes that we spoke about are that important that I'd like to reiterate a couple of things. So firstly, it's all about the question. Okay, if you do feel sick, if you do feel pain, are you asking yourself how I turn it off, turn that symptom off and forget about it? Or am I going to find the cause by asking a question, what's the cause, how do I find it? Start there. Then incorporate in your lives multiple health professionals. Health professionals. We've talked about the difference between a disease professional, health professional. Know when to go to a disease professional, but have that group. Once again, Health Hub Bali, that's the premise. That's the whole idea of joining these people and facilitating it for you guys. And also ask yourselves what you're doing now for your health, because we work with health. There's nothing more sadder than what I see is someone who's lost their health and they didn't know that they were doing the wrong thing, or they didn't know that they could have done more good things. So, and as I said, it's a time that's of limitation or sometimes permanent state when we do find out. So just ask yourself, analyse emotionally, chemically, physically. Are you exercising enough? Are you moving enough? Do you maintain a good posture most of the time? Are you correcting problems when they occur in your spine with your health professionals, your physios, your osteos, your chiros, your masseuses? Emotional health. How's my stress level? How's my sleep level? What am I doing to compensate? We'll use the word biohack. How can I hack it? You know what? I'll meditate in the morning. I'll do a 15-minute meditation session. I might do a breathwork session later on. Okay? Chemical. Look at your diet. Every single decision we make, every single one, will either take us towards health or away from it. That's all you got to do. And as I said before, if it's a conscious decision to make a decision that takes you away from health, don't beat yourself up either. We've just had Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, there are times we do deviate, but don't feel that you've dropped the ball and you've lost it all if you've had a party or a celebration or whatever. For some reason, you've made that decision. Okay, it doesn't matter. Health's a continual process. Every day's a new day, and we build our future step by step. Just got in there before that motorbike.
Perfect timing, and just before we go to Tracey, last from me, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with Health Hub Bali, and a lot of people involved, a lot of moving parts. So Tracey's been at it for 10 years plus. So I just want to thank you and commend you. Recently, our brother Anastasio from Aspire, he didn't even know he was going to be mentioned. Like, oh God, this guy has been doing some tremendous work behind the scenes to help this really become something. Again, it needs everybody, right? You were saying before about the practitioners, the hospitals, the government. So together we can do better, right? And so that's one message I just want to keep out there. And thanks again, Anastasio, Aspire. And so Tracey, over to you. Yeah.
And the events. It's about awareness and education, and that's a big thing now. One thing up here was about rewriting the rules of health, and it's not the future of the health, it's happening now. And that's where, especially since COVID, the whole world's changed as far as medicine's concerned, and people wake up and they want to know more. So we're saying Bali's a place for that, and that's what we're inviting all the health professionals. We're bridging the gap in medicine here in Bali, and thank you for coming tonight. But my last thing is, I'm going to tell you that this year we've got 3